Hey everybody, it's Trigger Bar Philosopher. Welcome back out to the range. Today we got another exciting episode in 380 ACP. Today we got the Federal Versatile Hollow Point, their Train and Protect lineup. Should be a good time. Let's get to shooting. All right, so today we've got our favorite, the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0, which I really think has revolutionized the pocket carry world. It's got very ergonomic, very high undercut. For most people, unless you're Sasquatch, and I know a few of you out there contend with Sasquatch, you can get at least half of that pinky finger on the bottom of this 380, and your hand sits very high up on it. So ergonomically, I feel like the Bodyguard 2.0 is a game changer in 380 ACP. So the question then is, which round should you carry? Everyone says 380 ACP isn't enough to get the job done in terms of self-defense. So we have a whole series, I believe this is video 25 now, on which is the best self-defense round. And so we keep testing, we keep looking. Now we have a recommendation from several of you saying, hey, take a look at this Train and Protect. Other channels have taken a look at this, so I want to take my own look at it. It's got their versatile hollow point. I don't know what that means. One incredible thing I find interesting is on the back of the box is that they highlight the cases are made of brass for reloading. I don't know that I've ever seen that on a box. Usually they are. I mean, if they say steel or aluminum, you know they're not for reloading, but hey, that is a selling feature, I would imagine. Claims that it has a highly reliable, extremely reliable primer. So we're gonna put that to test. We're gonna see if it runs in the Bodyguard. We'll see how it performs in our clear ballistic gelatin we have out today. We'll do it with no clothing, and then we'll do it with clothing, medium density fiberboard, and more gelatin. Very similar to what the setup from Gun Sam. And again, just slight variations. I have less gel before the medium density fiberboard. He has more gel. And again, I have different guns than he has. And also, hey, isn't it flattery if someone else is doing something similar and then folks can compare notes on different rounds, because we usually only get 1 or 2 bullets into these things. That's not a really good test size. So we need a lot more people, in fact, doing this same test setup so that we can get more data on it. Then you've got folks who are doing organic gelatin. I have a test on that comparing clear ballistics and organic with 380 ACP. You can check that out. All right, well, with that said, why don't we get to the ballistic gel tests? Should be a good time. Let's get shooting. We've got the 85 grain Federal Train and Protect. It's supposed to be their versatile hollow point. Good for training and self-defense, according to them. Let's see how it does. I'm at about 3 yards. And it didn't capture it. We'll have to capture it later when we do the velocity testing. We see that the projectile comes in the clear ballistic gel, gets out to just beyond 12 inches, which I think is pretty good. It bounces back to about the 11-inch mark. It goes out to maybe 12.5 and then bounces back to the 11-inch mark. I think we count it out to where it goes. I've shifted my opinion over time with that. But then remember, we get 1 to 2 inches more than what organic gelatin will do. Next up, we're going to add 2 layers of t-shirt, 2 layers of denim, and some medium density fiberboard. And then that behaves very similar to what the organic gelatin, that medium density fiberboard, provides just a little bit extra of a barrier so that it performs more like organic gelatin. We'll see if this hollow point, though, expands when we put clothing in front of it. That's going to be the question. It looks to have expanded very well with just clear ballistic gelatin. All right, didn't capture it. Let's go down, see what we got in the gel. So we see pretty good performance, actually. Goes through the layers of t-shirt and denim and opens up just fine. We'll pull that out of the block now. But again, with this being at that little over 2.5 inch marks, it actually got a little over a foot, so it probably got just a little bit less expansion, got over 12 inches. And again, that's with the medium density fiberboard, that's with the layers of t-shirt, and if I'm looking in there, it looks to be expanded. So let me pull that out and then we will measure our different projectiles. Okay, let's just take a look at the two. This is the one with clothing. You can see it doesn't get quite as much as expansion. It is measuring 0.45. Yeah, somewhere around in there. It's a little less than sometimes you get with the XTPs, but it's pretty good, on par with the HydroShock Deep. And then 4.8, so not tons more, but just enough more, right? So it's getting a little bit more penetration for that just smaller fraction of an inch, like 300ths of an inch, like that, not much difference. So again, 0.45, about 0.48, 0.49 maybe? Yeah, 0.49 at its widest. Yep. So, pretty good. Quick look at this book, Clear Ballistic. Gelatin from that versatile hollow point from Federal. A lot of the clothing was lost before it got through these 2.5 inches. Again, I usually like to do 2 inches. Sorry, I put too much gel into the mold and it turned out to be 2.5 inches. But interesting that it lost most of the clothing in that first 2.5 inches before it hit the medium density fiberboard. That's why it was able to expand and get clogging. And we were starting to get some expansion, but most of the expansion happened after it went through the medium density fiberboard, which is what you want. All right, well, we got 5 rounds. We've got our Garmin out, so now let's take a look see what these 85 grain projectiles are doing. It's such a mystery because we can't get it to capture it with the gel. I really need to get a regular chronograph and see how we can do that, but here we go. 947, it's supposed to be doing 1,000. This is a shorter barrel. 982. 972. 970 and 964. What I find fascinating is that their cheap round, this is less expensive than their HydroShock and HydroShock Deep. These are loaded hotter. I think the HydroShock gets a little bit wider expansion, not the HydroShock Deep, but the Rider HST gets a little bit more expansion, but these are loaded hotter, which is, I just find that hilarious that their cheap ammo is loaded hotter and is getting a little bit more energy foot-pounds. Let's take a look, and I mean, that's one of the downsides of the HydroShock Deep is it's going like 800 feet per second. Like this is like 150 feet per second faster. And everyone says, well, it's just the size of the wound track, but I mean, it's not, doesn't have, the bullets don't have much energy. At some point, that's going to be a problem for you. So for our men, we had 947, a max of 982, an average of 967, and an average kinetic energy of 176. So not much, because it's, again, it's a lighter bullet, 85 grains, lighter-ish. It's probably more average for 380 ACP, and 176 energy foot-pounds. I like to see it around 200, but it performs well in the gel. It does what it's supposed to do. And I get it in a box of 50 and pay about the same amount that I'd pay for a box of 20. So I think this is worth looking at. Why don't we go now next and do our accuracy. Okay, well, we are at our 5 yards. If you've watched my test series, I do all of my quote unquote accuracy at 5 yards, because 5 yards is probably about where you're going to be shooting it with this. And then I'm consistent across the 24, I think, 25 videos in 380 ACP, so you'll know where one round in the Bodyguard, at least in my Bodyguard, prints relative to the other rounds. So if you have a sight that is hitting left, you might want to get a ammunition that shoots right, kind of thing. All right, here we go. All right, does well. Another thing, let's go down and take a look. Another thing I like to look at with this So that's 3 shots right in there. That's very nice. But another thing I like to look at is, are any of the bullets going sideways? You can tell that sometimes in gel, but you also tell it with your paper, and these are hitting perfectly, right? So, and I'm sure that vertical stringing is me or the animal, but doesn't really matter. They're all going about where I want them to go. Remember early on, one of my first videos, I talked about where I had to drift my sights over to the right so that I would shoot more. I would bring the sights over this way. It was shooting way over here, so you drift it that way. Then when you shoot it, it comes that way. I had to do that. Other people have had to do that, but this is shooting right on for me now. I don't know how it might be shooting for you. All right, well, that said, let's wrap things up. I thought we have a fantastic round. This versatile jacketed hollow point, if that's what they're calling it, VHP, VJHP, I think is great. I think it's in the top few bullets. I think it's up there with Federal Hydroshock Deep. I think it's up there with Underwood XTP. I think it's up there. Yeah, those are my 2 favorite ones at the moment. So I think it's up in that group. Federal seems to have a lot of good ones. I think you really can't go wrong with it, with Federal Punch, HST, HSD, and this versatile jacketed hollow point. I guess my point is going to be, like, why buy those more expensive ones and you can buy this little bit cheaper one. It's not as cheap as FMJ's, but it's, you know, it's cheaper, right? For the same price that I can get one of these other kinds, I can get 50 instead of 20. So that's a lot cheaper. So if it were me, this is a good choice. I may do it. I still like the Underwoods maybe a little bit better, because they, instead of going 960, they're going like 1050 with their non-Plus P version, and the Plus P they're going 1150. So I really still am a little bit partial to those Underwoods, but you pay the price, you pay that premium. This is going to be easier on this gun in the long term. There's no doubt about that. I want to hear in the comments, what are you guys going to do? Is this going to be something you're going to be carrying and training with? What do you think about this concept of train and protect? I think it's a gimmick, because I think these are more expensive than FMJ. I'm still going to buy FMJ just for my training. That's what I'm going to do, right? But I think that this is a decent round. It's better cost per performance. I think cost performance, this is probably the best, would be my guess. But I still like a little bit more power, a little bit more oomph. I like getting over 200 energy foot-pounds on my 380 ACP for my personal protection and self-defense. I know people say don't worry about the energy, worry about the bullet expansion. It's like, well, if I can get energy and bullet expansion at those higher velocities, then I'm going to choose that. So, all right, well, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hope everyone has a great week. Let's get to shooting.
Out here in the heartland, where our spirits run free, trigger bar philosopher, it's you and me. From pistols to rifles, we'll take on the best, reviewing each weapon, put them to the test. With revolvers and shotguns, we'll break it all down. The Second Amendment protects from the crown. Shooting for the